Hello, Senior Stoner fans. It's the real Senior Stoner back at you for your dual dab of the day. Today is Thursday. Good morning, everybody. Well, today's topic I think is pretty interesting because it's something that happens to me a lot, something that I feel, and it's not a positive. So I want to share it with everybody and make sure everybody has perspective on it. It's being ill invisibly. It's having things wrong with you that create tremendous pain that others cannot see. So it's like, how do you deal with an invisible illness in the eyes of your family, in the eyes of the public, in the eyes of people you work with, in the eyes of your friends, or love and people married to? How do we deal with this? I've been accused of being sick all my life, unfortunately. And the hard reality of the thing is I never had an arm hanging down to the ground. Thank God I never broke a limb. Thank God very rarely did I have catastrophic cuts that bled a lot. I'm not, thank God, in a wheelchair yet. And I don't walk on crutches. I don't have a cast. But I've got some of life's most difficult, most challenging things wrong with me that present with the most incredible, intractable pain. So what do we do? How do we cope? Because we're in a world where no one understands unless they know us very well. So how do we cope with all this? Well, let's talk about loved ones. Loved ones, whether you know it or not, if you're in this situation, know what's wrong with you. Loved ones, real loved ones, ask how you feel. Because the nature of invisible illness is they can't really tell. If you're not a complainer, and you don't verbally talk about it, and you're not a sulker, they're never going to know unless you tell them. But if you've had a 20 or 30 year run of chronic pain and issues, and you have communicated them, it's a different perspective. That significant other could say, you've been sick all your life. Something's been wrong with you all your life. You're always sick. But remember, invisible. So what does that mean for us? Do we just shut up? Do we go through the world with our hands over our eyes like this so we don't make eye contact with anyone? What do we do? Here's how I have found is better to handle it. See what you think of this. It's invisible to have IBS. People don't want to hear about IBS. But you know what I do? I put my hand on my side a lot. Okay? Nobody knows really about that one other than Mrs. Stoner. Talk about backs and spines and necks and things like that. Those types of pains. Nerve pain. Well, unless you've got psoriasis, which is a nerve type of pain, which is visible, a lot of times no one's going to know. So here's what can happen, and it kind of goes along with adult bullying. People can say, oh, you're such a whiner. Oh, stop complaining. There's nothing wrong with you. Oh, look at him or her over there. What a complainer. They look fine. You see, that's the challenge. I've got MRIs, CAT scans, you name it, that show incredible, horrible things, unfortunately, that I don't even want to go into. But they're not visible to the naked eye outside. I was able to get my life together in 6 months so I could go to my daughter's wedding and my wife's concert. That's it. It's over. Those things are over for me. I've made a conscious decision to lower my expectations on what I can do. Now, when you're at the physical therapist, you're at a doctor's office, you're in the waiting room, and you look around and you see people on oxygen. You see people in casts. You see people that don't know where they are, whatever you see. And then you see yourself and say, gee, I look better than them, but I'm feeling like crap. This is the challenge, and it's a big one. So for all of us out there that suffer from these invisible illnesses, give yourself a pat on the back. Just for stepping outside, just for picking up the phone, just for saying hi to your wife or husband. Because unless you shout it out, or unless it's really visible, you're going to be treated like everybody else. Okay? And a lot of times that's not enough. That's not what we need. We're not like everybody else. We might look like everybody else, but we're far from what everybody else's situation is. We know it. So for those of you who have significant others, close friends, I encourage you to share what's wrong with you, not on a daily whining basis, but people need to know. You know, children are a funny thing for parents to talk about illness with. My adult children know everything that's wrong with me, and yet they move along like there's nothing wrong with me. Because children have a habit of not getting it with parents. I remember myself as a child with my mother or my father, whatever they had wrong with them, it didn't click. Even when I got older, it really didn't click. Especially if they don't live with you anymore. How do we deal with it? Well, there's a consistent pattern to what I talk about on this channel. Push through. Screw those people. Screw them all. What I mean, in not a nasty way, is we must protect ourselves. We're not lying. We're not faking. We're not malingerers. And you know what? We need credit for that from ourselves. So give yourself that pat on the back. Tell yourself you've done a good job just by being with people, just by getting to a doctor's office, just by going to a food store, just by stepping outside, just by watching this. You've done something really real. So give yourself credit. But don't lose sight of how different we are from others. And give yourself that pat on the back because you deserve it. Let's have our dabs of the day now. And be pleased, be a little bit pleased for the fact that you're getting through life if you have invisible illnesses, because it's not easy. It's one of the least understood things. Think about it. Even for medical people to diagnose you, they want to see, an x-ray, or they want to see a CAT scan or blood work or something. So for you to say, I don't feel good, and for them not to see much would be a real problem. Unfortunately, I have the scans to prove what's wrong. But all of us do. That's not the issue. The issue is pushing through. The issue is making sure you don't get caught up in it. Just because other people don't validate it doesn't mean it is not real. There was a long time, for many years in hospitals, where when you said, I'm in pain, they said, you're complaining. Now you look on the wall in every room and it says, what is your pain scale today? So it's a very key part of what life has become in the medical industry, acknowledging pain, even if it's invisible. So give yourself a pat on the back. You're pushing through life. You're doing it, even though others don't see. Cheers. The dab train keeps rolling with the Puffco Peak first, and now our Carta E-Rig, both with a sativa hash resin. Here we go for our quick hit on the Carta today. Cheers, everybody. And the dab train keeps rolling. And the pain keeps coming. But now we at least understand, okay, that we are okay. That we are moving forward. That we are pushing through. No matter what other people see, no matter what they say. We know what we have going on in our bodies. And it's up to us to help ourselves. Take care, everybody. Try to have a pain-free day out there. Cheers.